So how do you actually get more DM sales? That's what we're going to talk about today. More specifically, we're going to talk about why focusing on have as many DM conversations as possible potentially can actually kill your sales. And what do you actually need to focus on instead? The last thing, the mindset shift. I know that if I share this with you, it's going to help you so much when it comes to selling the DMs with ease. So hi, if we have not met, my name is Yuan. I'm the founder and CEO of DailySurprisesMedia. We're a lead gen and lead conversion agency working with six figures, multi-six figures, multi-seven figures, coaches, service providers, consultants that are selling high ticket in the space. We have generated over 100 client wins and we are featured in Business Insider. So selling the DMs is one of the things we're just really, really good at. And it's a question I get asked a lot, like what do you actually need to focus on? How do you get more DM sales? So that's the bit we're going to dive in today. So the first bit is I want to acknowledge that, it's very normal for our logic brain to go, okay, so if we have more conversations, then there's a higher chance for us to convert somebody. It's all well-intentioned and it's kind of true in a way, but if you're really focusing on the number of people you touch every single day, using that as your sales goal, I kind of think that that's really missing the point because you're driving the wrong metric. So no matter you're hiring a team member to support you with DM sales or you're doing kind of DM sales for yourself, for me, that is not necessarily the right metric to track, mainly because what your brain is going to want to do is, okay, I want to, let's say, reply to as many ideal client story as possible. You don't really think about how do you want to navigate the conversation? How do you want to go deeper with ideal client? You are not really intentionally picturing almost like 3 steps ahead, right? Where do you want this conversation to go? So you can figure out, is that ideal client a suitable client for you? How or where do you want to really transition the conversation so that it feels natural and at the same time that you already qualify this person to be ideal client for you, right? So you're not really thinking ahead. You just be like, okay, I want to touch as many people as possible. So well intentioned, but because of that, a lot of times you are driving the wrong behavior for potentially you or your team, right? So one of the things I always get my team to focus on instead is we're looking at, like when we have DM conversations, let's say if I'm training my sales team, definitely one of the metrics we still look at is, let's say, how many conversations they have per day, because normally I will be on client account for a few weeks, a few days to making sure that all the DM flow is optimized. And we also very solid on, okay, if we consistently do these actions, how many sales calls can we get a week for a client? So we have that base number. That's the main goal we're trying to hit, right? So how many sales calls or how many people we actually can convert per week, that's our main metrics. And the metric after that, we actually have a look at then is how many people we talk to in order to hit that number. So the reason why we track that as a secondary number is mainly because we want to making sure that we're not really overthinking when it comes to having DM conversations, but we also want to making sure that we're not underthinking is not the right word, but you know what I mean, right? So we're not planning ahead how we want to lead this conversation, where this conversation is going to go, and try to hit as many people as possible. So what you really want to focus on instead is trying to go deeper and be very intentional, and when and where to pivot into a business conversation. And that is where having a DM flow is super useful. So this is something that we truly believe in our agency. We get all our done for you clients to do this. We create a DM flow, so it's not necessarily like a script where person A say this and you say this. It's almost like decision tree, right? When this happens, say that. When this happens, to say that. You are taking the whole human element out of it, and that's not going to give you a really good conversion rate when you're like being really robotic, right? So one of the things that we do over here is to have a DM flow. So we kind of know like what are the things we're looking for in an ideal client, that we know that if conversation happen to be in these kind of scenario, this kind of bucket, we know roughly how or where we want to transit the conversation and what are the things we're looking for in an ideal client. How do we pre-qualify someone? So that's really important for you to have in place a DM flow that is converting well for your business. And when you have that in place, start tracking your data to understand like, do you already have a optimized DM conversation? What kind of messages lands with people? And when you're confident that it's fully optimized, how many sales calls are you landing a week? How many new clients are you signing a week? And then look at how many people you're talking to. So you know that, let's say if you're ready for that to outsource to somebody in the future, then you know that after the ramp up period of a new team member, that's the number you're aiming for, right? Or let's say if you outsource the agency completely, then you already know the baseline, what that number looked like, and you would expect them to do kind of similar or better, right? So that's the second piece to it, is what do you actually focus on? Hopefully you'll find that helpful. So we're gonna dive into the last thing of this video, which is what is the mindset shift you actually need in order to have DM sales with ease. So I know that there's a lot of talks in the space around, selling is a bit icky and, it's like, oh, like used car salesman. Like a big part of it, I feel like it's not necessarily something that we actually believe, but it's a big part of the belief. It's almost like being put into our head by all of this external marketing message, right? So when you think about selling, do you actually feel it's icky, or is because of all this messaging online that you've been reading so far that makes you feel sales is icky, right? So that's the bit you want to really look at. Is this your belief, or is it a belief that somebody kind of put in your head because of their marketing message? So when I talk to a lot of clients, well, we realize that they don't necessarily feel anything about sales. It just when they look at this messaging over and over again online, that's when they associate sales is actually something that's very icky, right? But when you do DM sales, one really important thing like we do over here is you are not selling to every single person in the DMs, right? So this is why in the beginning I also mentioned it's not about getting to as many people as possible. It's about getting to know people better and getting deeper with people and really get that into a business conversation that you are confident this is somebody that you can support. Therefore, you actually provide offer for them to make an option. So the mindset shift I really want you to have here today is you are not actually doing DM selling. Yes, the activity you do that can be classified as DM selling, but the intention behind it is you are actually just doing a filtering process and trying to find the people you can serve. That's it. That's the mindset shift you have, right? So you are not exactly trying to sell. If they found selling is icky, what you're actually trying to do over here is you're trying to filtering the ideal client so you can go deeper with them and really understand if you can support them, if you can serve them, and all you do is give them an option, right? Do they want to say yes or no? That's up to them. But you want to making sure that you understand all the aspect of their business, all the aspect of what they're struggle with, what's their goal, so you can understand if your offer, if your service can really help them to take the next step and help them to go over further and hit their goal. So hopefully you find today's training helpful. If you have any training requests, just DM me on DailySurprisesMedia and I'll making sure to add that to my future backlog. I hope you have a great day and see you in the next training. Bye.